Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to the Divination Death Witch podcast. I'm your host, Rain. Yes, I have changed my name. It's still Rin, but I am going through the process of legally having my name changed, and so I'm just going ahead and starting to use what will be my new legal name. So don't let that throw you. I will remind everybody over the next few episodes about the fact that my name is changing, but that it is still me. So this is going to be a fun little episode, almost a Divination Death Witch after dark. I was looking for new and interesting videos about tarot on YouTube, and I came across a video by Danny Mystic, and I will link it in the archive on YouTube for this video. I'll link her video. I cannot do that on Podbean, but if you want to watch her video, which I do highly recommend, you'll find the link for it in the archive of this episode on the Spirit Tarot YouTube channel, so you can check it out there. But what she did was she was working on a couple of different projects. One of them was working on a system for yes/no questions, using the tarot to answer yes/no questions. And another thing she was looking at brought up a list of philosophical questions. And she decided that it would be fun to practice what she was learning in tarot by answering these philosophical questions. So I thought this was really interesting. Now, I'm going to be using the Shadowlands Tarot for this episode, and I will have a picture of the Shadowlands Tarot in the Haunt Discord server. I'll also put the picture that has the questions that I'm going from for this episode as well, so you'll be able to find both of those in the Haunt Discord server. But get cozy. I have some coffee that may or may not be spiked with Kahlua. Like I said, this is gonna be an interesting episode. I'm having a nice relaxing drink while we do this. This is just real informal. It's meant to be fun, but also hopefully a bit thought-provoking. But again, I can't get too carried away with the after dark aspect of this, because ultimately it will be archived on YouTube, and YouTube can be a little particular, as you all know. So we're going to keep it within YouTube's guidelines, or at least I'm going to try. Now, I'm going to start off with the questions on this list that are yes/no questions. And I think I'm going to use the 3 aces method for this. I might also use the sun and moon method. But if you are new to answering yes/no questions with tarot, or if you're looking for new ways to answer yes/no questions with tarot, I do have a printable available for sale on the Spirit Tarot Etsy shop that goes through several different ways that you can use tarot to answer yes/no questions. So I'm going to start off with some of the yes/no questions from this list, and then depending on how long that takes us, we might delve into 1 or 2 of the meatier questions on this list of philosophical questions. So the first one that we are going to ask the tarot is, does time have a beginning or an end? Now, as far as just to nitpick here, because if you're learning how to read tarot, this is not the way I would frame a yes/no question to the tarot. Normally, there are readers who do not believe in, will not do yes/no questions. They will only do open-ended questions with the tarot. I think yes/no questions have their time and place, but if you are going to do yes/no questions with the tarot, as a general rule, you do not want to ask an or question, because in tarot, if you're just doing a yes/no answer, if you're doing one of these methods, like we're going to be doing in this episode, or like I outline in the printable that I have, you do not want to ask an or question, because the tarot really can't answer it. Because maybe this one that we're asking is, does time have a beginning or an end? If either one of those is yes or no, but the other one is the opposite answer, then you're going to get an answer that is valid and at the same time invalid. So already we're getting into philosophy here, and some of you are probably already going, oh my gosh, that makes my head spin. But here's the thing. We're asking, does time have a beginning or an end? If time has a beginning but no end, then how is the tarot supposed to answer that with one yes or no? Or if time has no beginning but it does have an end, again, you're asking essentially two questions in one whenever you ask an or question. So as a general rule, if you're really doing this for realsies and not just for funsies, you want to avoid or questions. But for the sake of this little fun experiment and just doing, a little fun, a little whimsy, a little practice with our deck, which this is a great exercise to expand your reading skills, we're just going to go ahead and ask the question as is. So I'm going to do the 3 aces method, and we're going to ask tarot, does time have a beginning or an end? So in the 3 aces method, I do have to count cards. I know that sounds really bad, but I'm not at the casino, so we're okay. We've got 1 ace so far. We have the Ace of Swords. And then we got the Ace of Cups as well. So the 3 cards that we got for the 3 aces method is we got the Ace of Swords, the 2 of Pentacles, and then the Ace of Cups. So for me, in the 3 aces method, 2 aces means a yes or heavily leaning towards a yes. And sometimes I'll look at whatever the 3rd card was to sort of get maybe some additional insight or information about what we're asking. And we have the 2 of Pentacles, which is about finding balance, or at least that's one of the meanings for the 2 of Pentacles. And I think that perhaps is something that's very important here. Does time have a beginning and an end? Yes, but it's all about balance. And for me, there's different theories on time. We know that time isn't linear. Time is, in a sense, a human construct, but what we are measuring with time, the passage of time, is not linear as we think of it. And there's some different theories about, like, all time is now, or there's the Mobius strip, or different theories about time that we could delve into and discuss. But when you think about it, the 2 of Pentacles coming up for this, for one thing, in a lot of decks, there will be an infinity symbol that sort of goes around the 2 coins that the person is holding, giving that sense of, every ending is a beginning and every beginning is an ending. And that's sort of a balance of, there's nothing... Is there really such a thing as a true beginning or a true ending when one is also always the other? In order for something to begin, something has to end. In order for something to end, it's going to bring about a new beginning or a new transition. So I think that it's very interesting that we got a yes, but we got a yes with a 2 of Pentacles, talking about that idea of balance and beginnings and endings being so interconnected and entwined. This next question is a really big one for me. Now, if you're new to the podcast or my YouTube channel or me in general, my background is in mental behavioral health. That's what my degree is in. That is what my previous work history is in before I did tarot professionally. And, the concept of can people change is a big one in the field of psychology. And we talk a lot in the profession about the fact that we believe that people can change. People are capable of change. They are capable of turning over a new leaf. But at the same time, we have a saying that is essentially gospel in the field, which is the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. Because more often than not, human beings, we are creatures of habit and repetition and patterns. And so we're going to do what we've always done, which leads into the expression, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. And we talk a lot in psychology and in the spiritual realm as well about if we want something different, we've got to do something different. But change can be extremely hard. And we have to genuinely want the change. We have to strive for the change. We have to work for change in most cases. So I'll be interested to see what tarot has to say on, can people change? From a clinical perspective, can people change? Yes, they can, but it is not something easy. And until someone really breaks through all of their patterns and their current paradigms and everything, change is, the whole field of psychology is built on this idea that people can change. And yet we know from experience that that is very often the unlikely outcome, because we are, as human beings, resistant to change. So let's see what the cards have to say about if people can change. Again, I'm going to do the 3 aces method. And again, we have, I cannot make this stuff up. You all can hear me shuffling and laying out the cards as we do this. And this is why I always say tarot, no matter how long I have done this, I've been reading tarot since 1995. It never ceases to amaze me. So we've got the Ace of Wands, the Ace of Pentacles, and then the third card is Death. So again, 2 cards to me leans heavily towards a yes. People can change. But here's the thing. It is very often a daunting, overwhelming, scary prospect for us to change. We've got the Death card there, which is about transformation. It goes back to that idea that we discussed with the 2 of Pentacles when we asked about time, about how endings are always beginnings and beginnings require an ending for the most part. You can argue all the time. Another thing to note is, like, when we talk about the difference between the Death card and the Tower card in tarot. The Tower card is something that happens very suddenly. It's a very quick action. It can be a surprise. Sometimes we know that a Tower moment is coming. Sometimes we don't. But whatever it is, the actual incident or event is very fast moving. Whereas with the Death card, it is a much slower transition. Yes, literal death can happen in an instant, but when we're talking about it in the terms of tarot, very rarely does the Death card actually mean a literal physical death. It's more metaphorical. It's more about change, transition, transformation. And generally speaking, this is a much slower process. And so, can people change? The tarot cards, the Shadowland Tarot here says, yes, people can change, but it is a process. It is a process that requires shedding what was, or who you were, or what was, and you've got to let that completely go, and you've got to let it die in a metaphorical sense in order to usher in that change and really then become whatever that change is that you are looking for. The next question on this list that I want to look at is, do animals have souls? And the reason that I want to look at this is, about a month or so ago, I found myself in a conversation where someone had come to me and asked me about this. Do animals have souls? Do they go wherever people do when they pass away? And things like that. So let's go ahead and ask the tarot. I, of course, have my own beliefs and experiences on the matter, but let's see what the tarot cards have to say. Do animals have souls? This time, I think what I'm going to do is the sun-moon method, which does not require me to count cards, but to do the sun-moon method, all you have to do is shuffle your deck while you think about your yes-no question. So in this case, we're asking, do animals have souls? We're going to focus on that. And then what we do when we feel that we have shuffled the right amount and I stop throwing cards all over the table because I don't read jumpers, we're going to start turning over cards. And we're going to turn over the cards in the deck until we either get to the sun or the moon card. And then that's going to give us our answer. The sun means yes. The moon means no. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start turning over cards. And we are looking for either the sun or the moon in this deck. I do absolutely love the Shadowlands Tarot. I don't use it nearly enough for as much as I love it. It's kind of an acquired taste. Some people absolutely love it. Some people not so much. But already we have flipped over the cards and we got the sun card. So yes, animals do have souls. As a medium and someone who has worked with spirits all of their life, this does not come as a surprise or a shock to me. I have always experienced that, animals do have souls, and, they can visit us in spirit just like other departed loved ones can. Now, shorter episodes tend to do better as of late on YouTube, and because this podcast will be on Podbean and on YouTube, I want to keep this to be a shorter video. So that is it for the yes/no questions. On the picture that I'm going to post in the Discord, there are 23 different questions. Not all of them are yes/no, as you're about to see. But the last one I want to ask is not a yes/no question. So we're going to lay out, I think I'm going to start with a 3-card spread to answer this. And then if we need to draw clarifying cards, or if we feel like we need to draw more cards, so be it. The way this question is worded on the list is what exactly makes you, you? And we could take this question a couple of different directions. One direction we could take this is what makes people people? What makes humans human? If you've ever seen the Robin Williams movie Bicentennial Man, we could sort of take this question down that vein of, what makes a human being human? What qualities do we have that set us apart? And if you've never seen Bicentennial Man, Robin Williams plays as a robot who seeks to be declared human because he feels that he has all of the traits and desires to be labeled as human, even though he began existence as a machine. So we could take this philosophical question down that avenue of, what makes you you, meaning what makes human beings, what sets us apart from inanimate objects or other animals. But I'm going to take this as what exactly makes me, personally, Rain, me. So let's go ahead and draw 3 cards and see if we can distill me down to 3 cards and see what the tarot has to say about me specifically. And if you are a tarot reader, then I encourage you to break out a deck and ask this question for yourself. And feel free to let me know in the comments on Podbean or on YouTube, or if you join the Discord, let me know in there what results you get. What cards did you pull? What makes you, you? But for this episode, for our final question, we are going to ask what exactly makes me, me. So I'm going to shuffle a little bit longer. And let's see what the Shadowlands Tarot has to say about what makes me, me. The first card we get is the Moon. Then I have the Page of Cups. And then I have the Empress. Now, part of the reason I chose to answer this question is, as I explained at the beginning of the episode, I am going through the process of having my name legally changed. And as part of that process, there's a lot of self-reflection and a lot of who am I, who is this person that I am becoming by changing my name, and all of that. And I've had some conversations recently with some dear friends of mine, different conversations that just organically came up at different times, where I got a glimpse into how other people view me. And it's very interesting the cards that came up. So the moon. The moon we often associate with intuition, and because it is so heavily associated with intuition and dreams and things like that, I tend to associate it with divination as well. And of course, what do I do for a living? I read tarot, I do dice readings, I read oracle cards. There's several different methods of divination that I do as part of my personal spiritual practice, but also professionally. So it's very interesting that that is the card that comes up, because that is a big part of my personal identity. The other thing that I find so humorous about this is that I have a running joke with my friends that I have completed my transition into being a vampire. It's sort of a running joke that we have because from my health issues, I really cannot spend any time in the sun. I have very adverse reactions to being out in the sun, like real physical, legitimate health issues. My skin almost immediately burns once I go out in the sun. I get physically ill. I continue to be physically ill even after I get out of the sun for a while. It makes me extremely tired. I just have really bad reactions to the sun because of my health issues. I also just have always been a night owl, so the moon at nighttime. The running joke that, I am a vampire, a creature of the dark, because of my health issues. And this is a conversation that we just wound up having, a group of my friends and I don't know, like maybe 3 days before I'm recording this. We literally just were talking about the running joke of that I am a vampire. So that's interesting too, that the cards brought up my profession and the running joke that my friends and I have. I am sorry if you were hearing background noise. One of my neighbors is being extremely loud, and I've tried to pause and wait them out, but I need to get this recorded, so we just kind of have to go with it. The next card we got is the Page of Cups, and all three of these cards do relate to conversations I've had very recently. But the Page of Cups is someone who loves others very deeply, but has to be careful because they do have a tendency to give so much of themselves to others that then they are completely depleted and they have nothing left for themselves. And if you followed me, I am a big fan of the old adage, you can't pour from an empty cup. I say this to clients all the time. But at the same time, I am that person who will give everything I have to someone I care about, to the point of doing so at my own expense. And I literally just had a conversation with a friend of mine maybe a week ago about how sometimes I just do too much. So, yep, true. I feel like the cards were eavesdropping on that conversation. And then the Empress. So I had a conversation with another friend recently. And again, these conversations are just sort of coming up organically as I'm interacting with friends and that lately, because I am going through the whole refinding myself, changing my name process. It's something that is very, if you've never done that, it is a very interesting bit of introspection and a very interesting journey and process. But another conversation that organically came up was a friend of mine who, she does not view me as her mother, but she told me that she has always felt that I have a very motherly energy about me, that I'm very approachable, that whenever anybody, in herself included, but anybody in our friend circle has an issue, I am the one who is approachable. I am the one who will cheer everybody on. I will be in your corner. I will listen. I will give, sound advice, things like that. And we have a couple of people in our friend circle who have lost their biological mothers over the last year or so, a little more. And she has expressed that, whenever one of them needs that mom energy in their life, I'm the one that they are comfortable coming to, because I have that very nurturing, guiding, protective energy about me. So it's very interesting to have the cards come out the way they did. I kind of figured they would come out more from my perspective. I figured that it would either be my view of myself or maybe my guides and ancestors' view of me. It's very interesting that I draw 3 cards and each one of the cards relates to a separate conversation that I have had with friends over the last, I'd say probably all of these conversations have happened within the last 4 weeks at most. So that's very interesting that I ask what makes me me, and I get these snippets, these references to conversations that I have had with friends in the last couple of weeks about who I am and how others perceive me. There are so many more questions on this little picture that I'm working from. If you are interested in this, if you would like to see me do another episode where I look at some more questions off of this list, let me know. If you want to break out your tarot deck or your oracle deck or your dice or your pendulum or whatever it is you use and get philosophical and answer some of these questions, let me know which questions you ask. Let me know what answers you get. Again, you can comment on Podbean. You can comment on YouTube. You can join the Discord and talk about it there. And like I said, I will have a picture of the Shadowlands Tarot in the Haunt Discord. I'll also have the picture that I'm going by that I got these questions off of. They'll both be in the Discord if you want to view them. And if you want to see Danny Mystic's video that inspired me to do this, I'll have the link to that on the archived episode on the Spirit Tarot YouTube channel. So I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Until I see you again, blessings to you wherever your journey finds you.